Hello there again, YouTube. It is once again I, your gothic host with the most, Knox Burzum, back to bringing more blasphemous banter from beyond the grave. Today, you may notice that I am Sam's wife. She has fibromyalgia in real life, and to be honest, we've been staying up way too late. She's not getting enough rest, and so basically she made the adult decision tonight to be absent from the review. I don't know if she's going to come back or not, because frankly, we've been staying up really late to do these things, and she can't keep on taking it, so you've got me. Today, we watched They're Watching from 2016, directed by Micah Wright and Jay Lender, written by Micah Wright, runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes, which you will definitely feel because this is a really slow burn of a film. In fact, the entire plot line basically takes place, like, the whole horror aspect of the film takes place in the last 30 minutes of the movie. So, just don't be surprised when it takes forever for things to get started. It is starring Mia Markin as Sarah Elroy, who is a newbie on the filming crew. Chris Lemke, who is playing Alex Torini, who is probably my favorite character in the movie. There's David Alpay, who is Greg Abernathy in the film, former combat videographer. There's Bridget Branagh, Becky Westlake, who is a potter in the movie. She sells pottery. She also owns the building that they're all covering as the Home and Garden show, auspiciously. There's Carrie Genzel, who plays that bitch Kate Banks, who is their boss and everyone hates, of course, because she is the boss. And then there's Dmitry Dyachenko, who plays Vladimir Filat. Fun fact, if any of you have seen Devil's Pass, he plays in that one as well. Or no, not Devil's Pass, I'm sorry, in Chernobyl Diaries. He plays the guy who brings the Americans to Pripyat, and is the first to die. Spoilers. Well, I guess you'll want to know what the movie's about, huh? So, it's a comedy horror thriller. When an American home improvement TV show thinks from Home and Garden TV, and basically home improvement shows, visits a remote Eastern European village, the young crew thinks that the lack of mocha lattes and free Wi-Fi will be the worst of their problems. Of course, it's not. After their presence interrupts the normal day-to-day lives of the villagers and their religious practices. In fact, at one point in time, the team is shooting B-roll and stumbles into a children's burial ceremony, a funeral. Because it's not really a burial; they're in the church, but they stumble into a child's funeral, and it's very awkward. They try to ditch out, and they realize soon thereafter that they don't really have the option of doing that. Which I don't know why you would ever try to ditch out of a funeral, because everyone's gonna fucking notice anyway. Duh. Any rate, soon thereafter, the situation takes a turn for the homicidal, and that's pretty accurate. Well, towards the end of it, at least, after 2 days of being in the town, that things turn homicidal. Once the blood starts flowing, that is when things start getting weird, which is very true. With They're Watching, noted graphic artists and animators Micah Wright and Jay Lender turn a classic horror genre concept upside down to create a fresh, funny, and eye-popping twist on the genre. The genre, of course, is the classic witch story. Story of, that black magic practitioner out in the woods doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And for the entire runtime of the film, the mystery really is to figure out if the witch who owned the house way back in the day was real or not. That's kind of what you're trying to figure out. Although you don't realize that that's what you're trying to figure out. The entire movie basically is presented to you as it's just a very backwater village, and everything is the way it is because they're fairly poor there. It's supposed to take place, I believe, in Moldova, and Moldova is, in fact, a very poor, kind of backwater place, and I could honestly see what's happening there. It is interesting how basically the auspice of being there to shoot, which really is why the camera crew's there, at least, they're there just to shoot the house. which 6 months ago, this lady who is a potter, I guess you would call her, an artisan of sorts, because I'm pretty sure she's the one that paints the inside of the house. She and her boyfriend, I guess, who is a European soccer player, they buy this house in the middle of Moldova because she wants to move to a more rustic area, and she wants to be more in tune with nature, and she wants a quiet place to live and make a pottery. So whatever, they do that. And the whole assignment is, like on any of those other H&G shows, they're going to go and see what, the progress is 6 months later, if it's a dud, or if the person really managed to turn the property around. And in this case, she manages to super turn the property around and ends up showing them this really neat area, eventually down in the basement, which was a complete disaster area when they first found the property in the movie in the beginning of the show. It's just covered in like crap and leaves and grass and dead shit, and just it's gross. So when they clean it up, they've discovered that there's this really neat mural on the bottom, or on the floor rather, in the basement, and it's of a frog. And apparently the lady, Becky, says that she and her boyfriend brought in an investigator or a detective of some sort. I don't know. Someone that somehow or another she got an image of it to a professor somewhere nearby at a university, and it turns out that's been dated back to the Roman era, which is kind of random, but cool. And ends up showing them this huge mural that goes on the walls, and it shows, a witch coming to the area, to the village, and that she kills livestock, and that eventually she's burned by the natives. And that's when they find out that a witch was burned in this village only like 100 years past. And that's all that really is brought up about that. And for the next couple of days, it's really just the team bickering amongst themselves while they show the new girl the ropes of being a best boy, a grip, or gaffer, and having her carry around a handheld camera as practice as well. They go to the bar a bunch of times. They have fun with the locals. They notice that everyone seems very wary of going anywhere near Becky's property, though, which probably should be your first clue that something's not quite right. And from here on out, if you don't want any more spoilers for the movie, I give the movie a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. The execution of it could have been a little bit better, I think, and the story is a little drawn out, to be completely honest. That, and there are side plots that I wish were more fully developed, like about I think it's David Alpay's character. I wish that we got to learn more about his time in Afghanistan and what he really did with the army and press corps and the media there, but we don't get to learn anything about that, and we don't really get to learn anything about how long the team has been together. So I don't know, like, it was good, but it was only okay. Like, it's a very average film. All the payoff really does come at the end, so spoilers from here on out. So basically, the long and short of it is, you should guess at this point that something suspicious that's going on is that the woman's boyfriend is missing all the way up until, is scheduled to be missing all the way until the afternoon after the team actually leaves the property, which is really weird because he would have known outright that they were coming and would have wanted to be there. So you're stuck kind of wondering the whole time why it is that he isn't there, and eventually the villagers and eventually you learn that what's his name, Greg, I think. Is his name Greg? I didn't write down the names of the fucking characters, of course, for once. Let me pull it up real quick on my computer. Greg. So we learn that Greg essentially caught Kate and Becky's boyfriend, played by Christian Ballant, who plays Goran Potsnik. They catch Kate and Goran having sex in the shed, essentially. And they don't realize until 8/10 of the way through the movie that, because you can see her face very blurrily in the very back left-hand corner of that video, that she caught Kate and Goran having sex as well. So and apparently that footage was shot when the house was first bought. So he's been missing this whole time, and no one knows where the hell he is. The villagers act weirder and weirder about her until they finally break the vehicle that the team has come to the house in, and that is kind of when eventually they end up having to stay overnight at the cabin. And at first things are just a little raucous upstairs, and then they break in. The villagers break in, and they're all forced into the basement, and a couple of them end up seeing on the walls this mural that basically shows that they were destined to come here, and that Becky is in fact the witch, and that all sorts of really terrible shit's going to happen. And it's amusing because you can tell that it was designed by a graphic artist. Like, it very much looks like the people who it's supposed to look like, which is kind of funny because it looks like a still frame cartoon kind of to me. And this is the point at which basically Adobe After Effects go into full-blown use, and it's kind of amusing because no other part of the movie looks like this, so it's really out of place when it does happen. But Becky, of course, ends up revealing that she is basically the witch reincarnated, and that she's been waiting for her opportunity to just go nuts on these villagers. And she ends up revealing that Goran has been in the house the whole time, and that he's in this pit that she has down in her pottery area, and he's in this blood pool. And long story short, she powers up and does all this neat After Effects crap and butchers the piss out of everyone around her. The only one that ends up surviving is Alex, who she gives the handheld digital camera back to after she sends it sailing through like 4 different guys, and says, "You're my director now. Show the world. Show everyone." And he's like, "Okay, how the fuck am I going to explain this?" And that's how it ends, which is kind of crazy to me because, like, the entire movie is the build-up, which gets a little tedious, I won't lie. Like, that's why I score it so low, because I wish that we got to see more of the action of the film instead of just this enormously long build-up and then a very short payoff. But it's okay. I give the movie, like I said, somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7. Val and I have only watched it a couple times in the last few years, so it ends up getting shelved a lot. But I still think it's worth checking out. Go ahead, crack open a few brews, get ready for a long, slow burn with a decent payoff. Don't forget, I am Knox Burzum. This is Enter the Void. Peace, love, and heavy metal, folks. Bye.